Welcome to this week's episode of the Dirt Subies podcast. We have a fantastic guest for you. My friend John jumped on the microphone to talk a little bit about his Forester and some of his off-road adventures. Before we jump into that, make sure that if you haven't already checked out the Subie and You podcast, go give it a listen. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts. There's a ton of good episodes over there that you can binge for probably the next couple days. Let's go ahead and get into this episode. Could you tell us who you are and then where people can find you online?
Well, I am John Shimbersky. I pretty much do a Facebook page, which is Subaru Off-Road Adventures, and an Instagram page. It's the same thing, Subaru Off-Road Adventures. My YouTube is the same also, but it doesn't really have any following yet. I just really started it.
Well, let's see if we can change that.
Yeah, I know, right? I used to do a lot of stuff on YouTube for fishing because I used to do a lot of fishing tours and tournaments and stuff like that. But
nice.
Since I got into the off-road thing, I really don't do a whole lot of fishing as much as I used to. But the Facebook has definitely been blowing up in the last couple of weeks because I've been posting a whole lot more on there. So,
I mean, I know you own an SG, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
is that the only?
No, I have a 21 also. 21
Okay.
Forester also.
Nice. Well, what trim package is that?
The premium, I think.
Okay, nice. So you got the fog lights.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, the fog lights, the sunroof, power windows,
Yeah, let's go, man.
Stuff.
Now, do you off-road in both of them or just the SG?
So I started off-roading in the 21. We put all the rock sliders on it, the Ironman lift on it, the skid plates, all that fun stuff. And then we realized that the CVT just wasn't really what it's cracked up to be for off-roading. That's when I got the SG and started building that one for strictly pretty much off-road. I mean, we drive it day to day. We keep the 21 for all the fun grocery getting stuff.
Are you currently in the market for a lift kit for your Subaru? Or have you put a crappy Amazon or eBay lift kit on it and realized maybe you shouldn't have done that? Well, if you're in the market for that or skid plates, ditch light brackets, molly panels, any kind of other off-road Subaru stuff, make sure that you check out today's sponsor, Anderson Design and Fabrication. They are offering you guys a 5% off deal if you use code DIRTSUBIES at checkout. All you got to do is go to their website, awdadventure.com, use that code DIRTSUBIES when you check out and you will get 5% off. And I can't speak highly enough of their stuff. You guys know that I've been running their products for over 10 years at this point and have just absolutely beat the crap out of them. I've got their lift kit on my Forester currently, and I will probably never use another lift kit brand ever. Their stuff is just solid. So it means a lot to me, the fact that Patrick was willing to do me a favor and sponsor the podcast and giving you guys a way to make purchasing a quality lift kit more affordable. So go over there, get whatever you need, use that code, and make sure in the notes section you tell him thank you, because he doesn't need to discount any of his products. He's literally killing it. But again, it's just a favor that he's doing for us, and I really appreciate Patrick. The SG, I think, is just such a good platform. Did you do some research ahead of time before buying it? And, is that what caused you to do it, or is it something that just came up for sale?
Well, actually, one of my buddies had one, and he's been off-roading his for years. And he was like, man, if you're going to get another one, you need to get an SG because there's so many different models of parts that fit it.
Yes.
You can put Outback stuff on it. You can put WRX stuff on it. Pretty much everything fits on that for some reason.
Yeah. Was that Brant?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I just interviewed Brant. His episode is going to come out on Wednesday. And
Awesome.
It's funny I don't remember, because, it's like 2.5 hours worth of us just blabbing. I can't remember.
Right,
yeah. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he mentioned you. And so I'm glad that you're going to be, your episode's basically going to follow his up. So
right. Is he talking tires too?
Just a little bit. I was hoping we could actually talk about tires. So
yeah. Well,
it sounds like you've run a bunch. Let me ask you about tires in a second, but first, can you tell me about kind of what the overall, 30,000 foot view of your mods are on that SG?
Basically, it's got the Rally Tech full lift kit on it, the overload springs and the 2-inch spacers. It's got the primitive skid plates It's got the differential out of a Baja, so makes it
Okay.
the VTD
Oh,
transmission.
okay. The center diff. The center
The
diff.
center diff, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then it's got
Yeah, yeah.
the, yeah, and then it's got the torque locker in the rear, and
Good
of course
choice.
yeah, that made a world of difference.
Dude, same.
It's like that thing will go places it's never gone before. As soon
Yeah.
as you put that, and even with that center diff, it makes a world of difference too. And then just the basic little thing: roof rack, tube bumpers. Did the tube bumpers on the front and rear with the swing out spare tire carrier, and rock sliders that are just welded right to the subframe.
Heck yeah. Does your Subaru's engine bay look like crap? Mine definitely does, or did. I recently, in the last couple of years, purchased a full set of engine bay caps for my daily driver, and then I purchased some other ones for my Forester from Melee Design Firm. They have full sets, or you can buy just the oil cap if you want to just dress that up. But they're billet aluminum, they're small batch, so again, not every broccoli head with a WRX is going to have these, and they look pretty sick. I'm using the wrinkle red powder coat, but they have them in all sorts of other colors that you can choose from. And if you use code DIRTSUBIES at checkout, you'll get 10% off pretty much anything in the store. And that would really help us out to continue making these episodes for you, and it would help out a small business. Melee Design Firm is the epitome of a small business. Mitch over there is absolutely grinding and crushing it, and I can't say thank you enough for his willingness to sponsor what we're doing over here. So go check that out. And let's get back into this freaking heater of an episode. With the lift kit, I know you've got overload springs on there. Did you start with those, or did you initially just do a lift and then put the springs on at a different
No,
time?
I actually did everything all at once. It actually had the 1 inch extra lifts or overload springs, so
Okay.
it would give it like 3.5 inches of clearance. But they were just the springs, and the lift was just too much. It was just killing the struts
Yeah.
and the CVTs or the CVTs, yeah,
The CVs. I knew what
the
you meant.
CVs,
So
yeah,
no,
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
good.
The axles are getting eaten up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Did you blow through a bunch of axles before coming down a
No,
little bit?
I actually changed it before the axle started getting bad.
Okay.
I was watching the boots, and the boots were starting to wear like on themselves where they were rubbing
Mm-hmm.
because the axles had so much of
They're
a drop on them.
pushed. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So the
Okay.
bottoms of the boots were just wearing out, and I was like, I got to get rid of these. I mean, I know it's a 1/2 inch or almost an inch of extra travel or suspension lift. I want to keep my CVs intact. I don't need a breaking.
Yeah, especially when you're already, you've got the torque locker, you got the center diff, that VTD in there. Makes it a little easier to chew stuff up.
Yeah, yeah. I broke my first axle the first time with Brent the other day in Uhari, and we were out there,
Okay.
and I was just spinning on a rock, trying to get the tires to kind of heat up a little bit to get
Oh
traction,
yeah.
and it
Yeah.
slid off that rock and just whack, just
Boom.
snapped an axle.
Yeah. That's actually the same way that I blew up the only CV axle that I've ever damaged in a lifted Subaru. Same exact thing. Ton of wheel spin, and then finally it contacted the ground, and that shock load that gets put
Yep.
on it, that I think within a few months it started clicking.
Right.
Had to
Yeah,
swap
mine
her
just
out.
sheared right off. I mean, mine was just sheared off, and on the inside of where the that axle went into the hub, it was
Hmm.
actually broke inside of there too. So
Got that Bluetooth
it's such a
axle.
yeah. But luckily, I mean, I had a spare, and it only
Yeah.
took probably 30 minutes to change it, so it
Heck
wasn't a
yeah.
bad deal.
Okay. And you guys get down out there, man. I've seen a bunch of Brant's videos, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, dude, you are, he's crazy. I've never
Yeah.
wielded anything quite like what you guys have out there. I mean, we got some wild trails, but man, after seeing some of the stuff you guys do, I'm like, I don't know if I could hang.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought too when I started driving with Brett.
Yeah.
He'd be out there and be like, "Oh yeah, we can do it." And I'm like, "You sure?" And sure enough,
You
just
could do it.
you can do it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
watch him do it, and I'm like, "Okay, you did it. I can do it. I'm in the same car."
Your suspension is still going to give you almost the same capability,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But is the off-road stuff, is your experience with it, did it start with the Subaru, or have you done other off-roading in the past and other types of vehicles?
No, it pretty much started with the Subaru. I've just always
Okay.
been an outdoorsy kind of person, and
Yeah.
we went. It was funny because we went to New York. We go there up to New York all the time, and I had a Ford Edge at the time, and we came back and there was a snowstorm, and that thing was only 2-wheel drive, and we almost didn't make it home. And when I got home, I'm like, "That's it. I'm trading this car in for a Subaru," and that's how we got stuck on the Subarus.
It only takes one bad snowstorm or getting caught in one snowstorm to be convinced that maybe symmetrical all-wheel drive is the right move here. That's how I got into it, man, going up and down the mountain to go snowboarding, and everybody drove Subarus. I thought, okay, Subarus seem to get up here way easier than the dudes in 4x4s. So that's what I'm gonna buy. I'm gonna buy a Subaru, and it's all been downhill from there.
Right, right. Well, and the funny thing is, like, the South doesn't really have a whole lot of Subarus. I mean, it's not like the Fords and the Chevys and the
Yeah.
Kias and stuff. There's a ton of those here. There's only like one dealer in Columbia where I'm at, and then I
Okay.
got to go like a 2 hour drive to like Charlotte or someplace for another Subaru dealership. So they're
Oh
not
wow.
really popular here, but
Well, hopefully that keeps the purchase prices a little more reasonable.
right, right, yeah. But the only downside is it's hard to find parts. If you go break
Exactly.
something, I can go to like a pull apart and pull parts that I need, but they're
Yeah.
that older model, they're just hard to come by.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, even out here they're getting harder and harder to get your hands on unless they're just completely hammered or they've been just absolutely stripped.
Yeah. Anytime I go to a pull apart, I'll find one and I'll take off everything that I
Yeah.
could possibly think I'll ever need. If I don't need
Yes.
it right then, I'll be like, I'll need it someday.
And you'll
I'll
save so
just
much money over eBay pricing, you know.
right, yeah.
I want to ask you about two things. Number one, uh, your bumper, dude, that thing is sick. Did you fabricate that or how
I
did
had
that
one of my
happen?
buddies up the road do it.
Okay.
But then after he did it, I was like, I could have totally made that myself. So of course I
Okay.
went and bought a welder and a tube bender and
Yeah,
all that kind of fun stuff. So it's now I'm always adding extra stuff to it. But
I gotcha. How what kind of welder did you get?
just a little MIG robo weld or something is what
Okay.
it's called, I
Okay.
guess.
Yeah, I
Just a
just
cheap one
bought a
off
weld.
Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I'd never welded a day in my life, and once I started breaking cars off road, I was like, man, I probably should pick this skill up. I
Yep, yep.
can't be a city boy forever.
Yep. And it's really not that hard. I mean, I thought it was going to be
Yeah.
hard too, but when you have that wire fed, welders,
Oh,
they're just so easy. Once you get the heat down, you're good to go.
exactly. Settings are everything. Are you
Yep.
you running gas or you doing flux core?
No, just flux core.
Okay. Yeah, flux core is dirty, but it's the easiest. I mean, it's point and shoot,
Yep.
and nothing a little flapper disc won't take care of.
Right. Exactly. That's what I always say. Said it might not be
Yeah,
pretty, but it's going to be strong.
exactly. Yeah, I want to get better at stick, but man, that's like a whole other beast. Getting
It is.
everything.
I
Oof.
tried that at first, and I just
Hmm.
couldn't. I couldn't get it. I was
Yeah.
always sticking the rod, getting stuck right
Oh
to
yeah.
whatever I was welding.
Yeah.
I was like nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one where the settings really make or break it. It's important with flux core and MIG, but stick welding, it's like your rod choice makes a huge difference, and then your temperature is just absolutely vital. Because yeah, the same thing was happening to me the first time I ever tried. I was just sticking it to the stupid plate, and then I had a bunch of like stupid slug welds where it wasn't even penetrating. I was like, man, what the heck?
Everybody makes it
Like,
look so easy.
right? Yeah, yeah. These people get out here and they're doing like insane stuff overhead or on their back underneath some heavy equipment, welding something up with stick. I'm like, or one handed, just crushing it. Like, what? But it's like anything. I guess it's all practice. But your tire setup on the car currently, what are you running in that regard?
Right now, it's got 215, 70, 16s still
Okay.
on the stock wheels
Okay.
with those Delinante DX Bandits.
Yes, dude, those things look wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because they're like a cross between a mud train and I don't even know what
Like a
else. I
highway
mean, a
tire
mud train and an
almost.
all train. Yeah, it's a hybrid. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's made for CUVs is what it said when I bought it.
Okay.
You know, it's got the lighter, softer, a little softer sidewalls, so it makes
Okay.
it a little more pliable. It's a really nice ride.
Okay.
They're just noisy, you know, like an
Yeah,
MT going down the interstate, and they just roar.
I'm very familiar.
Yeah.
Now, is that the only tire you've run on that car, or have you had other stuff on there? It sounds like you've
No, that's the
done
only.
a lot of testing.
Yeah, that's the only one I run on that one. But on the 21 Forester, I've run the Wildpeak ATs and
Okay.
the Continental Cross Terrains, I think is what they're called,
That sounds
and
right.
the Maxxis Razors.
Oh, okay. Now, those Maxxis razors, there's a few different versions of that tire. I know there's an MT that I'm pretty familiar with. Were you running the MTs or like
No, I was running the ATs.
okay,
The
okay.
AT.
How did
Yeah.
how did those do? Is that a good tire?
They do really well. They're fairly quiet on the road. They definitely make more noise than the Wild Peaks do.
Mm-hmm.
Wild Peaks are a real quiet, nice
Mm-hmm.
tire, but the Razors I think have definitely good traction. They're a little narrower though than most tires. They have a real narrow like tread casing, but
Yeah, yeah.
the sidewall's a little wider.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so when you air them down, they flatten out really nice. But
Okay.
they definitely throw mud pretty well. They're really good all terrain, you know, all around tire.
Which Falcons are you or did you have on that? Was it the AT3Ws or the AT
No,
Trails?
AT
Okay.
trails.
Now,
Yeah.
how did those hold up for you in terms of the sidewalls and things like that? Did you ever take them anywhere where the sidewalls were vulnerable or?
I had them at Uhari a couple times in the rocks out there, and they
Okay.
seemed to do okay. I didn't really
Okay.
ever have any trouble with them.
Okay. Right
But
on.
like I say, I don't really run those a lot off road. I'll usually put
Yeah.
the Maxxis on when I go like crazy off roading, just because I have more
Okay.
tread. And its spacing's a little wider.
Okay. Oh man, you're out here with multiple tire setups. I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Well, I mean,
honestly,
they're expensive. You know, you don't want to
yeah.
wear out a good set of off road tires driving on the
Yeah,
road every
yeah.
day.
Yeah, and they do wear out faster. You know, the bigger the tread voids get, the faster they wear
Oh
out,
yeah,
man. It's like, dude.
yeah. Less
If you
contact with the road.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, like mud I don't even want to know how many thousands of dollars I've spent on mud terrains, but they do not last nearly as long as, a good set of, Continentals or something like that are just all seasons on a regular car. You just buzz
Yeah.
right through them, man.
Well, yeah, the mud terrain with that being a softer rubber compound on most of them, you
Mhm.
know, it's going to definitely wear out more because it's giving you that extra grip in wet conditions.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, I know everything has different compounds, but that's typical is for them to be a lot softer, and they always get way less pliable in the cold. It's rare that I've found a mud terrain that's a compound that kind of retains some of that pliability in the cold. They just turn into little hockey pucks.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's why they don't recommend mud terrains for snow tires.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for good reason. While we're on the topic, what I saw your comment on that video that I put out. What would be some of your top tire picks for somebody that's just getting into this?
I mean, truthfully, I mean, I love the razors. I mean, the
Mhm.
razors are, I think, a perfect mixture of, you know, street and off road. You know, a lot of the tires like the Wildpeak AT Trail is more of a, I think it's more of a glorified off road tire. You know, it's more like 80% pavement,
Yeah.
20% on the trail kind of thing. Where the Razor, I think, is more like a 50-50 mix.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this might be a little bit of an over exaggeration, but I think they literally took like a all season and just remolded it. So in terms of carcass thickness and all that type of thing, I think it's very very similar to an all season, maybe with a little extra reinforcement, but um,
Yeah. Well, it is a
yeah,
three
the
peak tire also, so it's got to be a softer compound so it can handle the snow.
hmm yeah, and those are I'm always telling people like, hey, you can't depend on these as a dedicated snow tire, but if you're out somewhere and you get caught in something, you're not going to just be sliding sideways into a
Right.
guardrail
Like on a summer
or
tire. Right.
man, I had a 2018 WRX that I bought, and this was years ago, and those all come with Dunlop Sport Max tires, which are honestly, they're not bad tires at all. But I got caught in a freak snowstorm about 30 minutes from my house, and I thought I was going to total the car. I legitimately was worried that I was going to total the car and have to call my insurance and be like, "Hey, I just totaled a car that I literally just bought."
Right.
I made it home, but man, I'm telling you, that thing just wanted to slide sideways at the even the most basic grade on the road. I was like, "Man, this is not good." So I parked that
Yeah.
car after that happened.
So you probably didn't know about airing the tires down back then.
Oh, I did absolutely. I just
Okay.
didn't have any. I mean, I could have got out and aired them down, but even if I'd aired those tires down, they were so low profile. I had
Right.
nothing to
Yeah.
work
Probably
with.
wouldn't.
I
Yeah.
would have pinched sidewalls probably before I actually got anywhere that was useful. But they just got so just like rock solid. It was bad news.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then the
Uh,
tread on them, there's not usually any tread
oh,
spacing where it'll actually throw any of the
nothing.
snow out anyway. They
Exactly.
just pack up and they're
Literally.
done.
Yeah, yeah, literally nothing there that's beneficial for that. But it was crazy. There was no snow in the forecast. It was like a late fall day, and then boom, got hit. I was like, "Oh my gosh, we got to get home before this gets crazy because we might have to get this thing towed. Call for a ride and leave it parked." Subarus. Are these the only two that you've owned?
No, I
Oh,
actually have a '99 Outback also
okay,
that I use. I use it basically just as like the junkyard car or
okay,
the I'm going fishing. I'll throw all my stuff in the back of the car and drive that. But
heck
I've
yeah.
had that one. I got an '06 Outback also.
Oh, dude, you,
Yeah,
you got me
I've
beat.
had a few Subarus.
What year did you buy the first one? And is it the SK that was your first Forester or first Subaru?
The '99 Outback was my
Oh,
first one, and I
okay.
got that in like 2000, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're not maybe
Um,
not quite the original owner, but almost.
no, no, no. Actually, no. I think it was probably 2010. I got it because I was just thinking it was a '99,
Oh,
so it'd have to be older than
okay.
that because I got it with like it had like 130,000 miles on it when I got it.
Okay.
And the check engine light was on and all kinds of stuff. And the guy's like, "Well, I'll give you a good deal because I can't figure out what's wrong with this check engine light." So,
Yeah.
I got it home, and it ended up being it's just I think the center diff um, solenoid is
The
locked.
Duty C. Is
Yeah,
that the
so it's
yeah.
stuck in like all-wheel drive all the time. You go around a corner and
Yes.
it's like,
Clunks. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Those
So I just put a fuse in it, so it puts it in four-wheel or
yeah.
front-wheel
Front
drive, and
wheel.
I drive it like that all the time. Unless I'm on the dirt, then I'll just flick this fuse
Yeah.
back in it, and then it's an all-wheel drive. And heck, I've been driving it ever since, and it's been
That
fine.
is awesome. What kind of tips would you have for some? I mean, it sounds like you've had the thing for a while, and it's still running. Um, you just basic maintenance or any specific?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much with that car. It's just been basic maintenance, changing the oil, keeping on top of make sure the radiator fluid's full, and changing the tires, and just basic stuff. And it's just been running forever.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I know newer stuff has a lot more failure points with all the electronics. But man, older '90s Subarus, it's literally as long as you don't beat the thing half to death. If you just do
Yeah.
basic maintenance, it's like that's all they need. It's a very hands-off ownership experience.
Yeah, it is. I mean, really, you keep brake pads on it, air in the tires, and
Yeah,
oil in it, and it run forever.
exactly. I had, and I mean, I know they had the head gasket issues way back then, but a lot of those they all got done pretty early on. Um,
Yeah.
but I,
And this one's got the '99 has a dual overhead cam,
hmm
and then my '07's got the single, which is
yeah.
so much easier to work on than the dual
Oh,
overhead cam one.
and I think they
Um,
made the same power, if not maybe a couple extra ponies with the single overhead cam.
Yeah, I don't remember. I was looking at that the other day, and I don't remember which way it was. If it was this dual overhead was more, or the single overhead was more.
Yeah,
All I
I
know is I
had
like the single head for doing timing
same,
belts and water pumps, and it's
Ye-
so much easier. And even
dude.
the head gasket wasn't that bad on it.
Yeah, Yeah, they switched on the Outbacks. I think it was 2000 when they switched over to single overhead cam. Outback and Legacy, they started doing the I can't remember all the engine codes. I think it's maybe like the Phase 2 EJ25 or something. But yeah, single overhead cam, hand it over. Like if I mean, my favorite Subaru of all time is like the second gen Legacies. I just think they look good. So like what your 99 Outback is based off of. But man,
Yeah.
I wish they were single overhead cam because, like you said, I can do a timing belt in one of those in like 2 hours, start to finish. Get
Yep.
everything pulled out, swapped over, set the timings easy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Very
So easy. You don't have to worry
straightforward.
about four cams to
Yes.
try to get
Yeah.
lined up and to stay lined up is such a nightmare.
Yeah, man. What kind of stuff have you done on your car? So it sounds like you've done head gaskets, timing stuff. Is that something that you've ever done professionally or just kind of out of necessity on these things?
No, this it's just when I got into the off road and I just started doing all that stuff. When I bought the SG, the guy's like, "Well, the it's leaking oil and the head gasket's blown." I'm like, "You sure it's blown?" He goes, "Yeah, because when I start it up, it leaks coolant
Yeah.
and it's leaking oil when it sits." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I drove it, I looked at it, I didn't see anything, it wasn't overheating."
Hmm.
And the guy's like, "Well, give me $1,000 and you can take it home with you." I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
$1,000, I got it home. I drove it for almost a year without changing the head gasket. And only time it would leak from the head gasket is when you start it. It was
Mm,
leaking out of the back of the motor, right
okay.
underneath the coolant transfer from the motor to the um that tube in the back of the motor there. It
Okay.
was leaking right by
Crossover
that.
pipe?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was leaking
okay.
on the back under that. But it would only leak till it warmed up. As soon as it warmed up, it stopped leaking.
Huh.
So I drove it for, like I said, about a year. And then I was like, you know what? It's winter time. I'm not doing a lot of driving. I'm going to pull the motor out. I got on YouTube, watched a video how to do it. I'm like, oh, this is a piece of cake. Pulled
Yeah.
the motor out on a weekend, pulled the timing belt, took the heads that had the head shaved and brought it
Hmm.
back and put a new head gasket in it. And it's been good to go.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And the
was.
oil leak, this is the funniest part. The oil leak was just the oil filter was loose.
I love
I
I
got it
love
home and
when
I was
mechan
like going to loosen it and I was like, it almost spun off. I was like,
Yeah.
holy crap, no wonder why it was leaking oil.
Y- Yeah, man. And those have that there's like an oil cooler on that engine, right?
Mine didn't have an oil cooler on it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was one of the
Mine's
things
an
I'm
oh
thinking about upgrading
06.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up with a coolant leak one day from that and spent a bunch of time pulling everything out on the trail because I started getting all the crazy smoke. I was like, what is going on here? And sure enough, one of those little lines wiggled themselves loose and started spraying coolant on the manifold. I was like, dude,
Oh,
couldn't
geez.
couldn't you have done this in the driveway?
Right. And then you can't see where it is because everything's wet. You know, it's not like you
Exactly.
just pinpoint it. The
Yep.
fan kicks on and then everything's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, what's maybe the craziest either like trail repair you've had to do or issue that's come up on the trail? I know you talked about that CV axle issue. Is that maybe one of
Yeah.
the craziest things?
No, actually, the craziest one I think I had was I was on a trail and I was on the way home from the trail and I was stopped at a stoplight and there was like smoke coming out from under the motor and I was like,
Oh
"Where's the
fuck.
smoke coming from?" The one of the cam seals actually came out or turned sideways just a little bit on the camshaft and it was spewing oil out of the top of the cam. So I had to pull that off on the side of the road and tap it back in straight till I can get it home to put a new one in it. That was
Was that front or rear cam seal?
that was a front one
Okay, okay. Dude, I'm how
on
hard
the
was it
driver's
to get to
side.
that? Okay.
It wasn't hard. It was on the driver's side, so you just take the timing belt cover off of that one side,
Mhm.
and I could see it. So of course I had to pull
Okay.
the or the AC belt off and the power steering pump belt off in the front. thing off and then pull the cover off to get the stuff off of there. But
Man,
it was
that's impressive that you found it though.
oh, I know. I mean,
That's
I was like, and I'm glad it didn't leak a whole lot more because it could have been real bad, you know.
yeah, yeah. Spin a rod or spin a bearing and bend a rod. You never. It
Yeah.
doesn't take a whole lot of oil starvation to
No.
roast an engine.
Yeah. Especially on the
Oh,
cam seal. I mean, that's a lot of oil going in that pivot on that bushing right there.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It wouldn't
definitely.
take long to overheat that and melt it.
Yeah. Your you mentioned your tire size a second ago. I should have asked you this then, but did you have any issues with the tires wanting to contact the spring perches in the rear when you installed those?
Yes.
Okay. Did
That's
you
why
run?
I kind of stuck with the 215s because they're a little
Hmm.
narrower.
Okay.
But I did put 1 inch hub spacers on them also,
Perfect. Okay.
just to kind of bring them
Yeah.
off the spring perches a little bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Because
another reason I didn't want to go. A lot of people are like, "Oh, bigger tires, put bigger tires on there," but I like my
yeah,
little skinnies.
yeah. I mean, they seem to be working.
Yeah.
the the fronts, I'm guessing you probably didn't have to do a whole lot of hammering or anything like that to fit them in the front.
Um, no, just a little bit where the pinch welds go down along that bottom corner down there on the backside. But
Yeah, right by
besides
where
that, I
the
didn't really have to do much because the
okay,
fenders were all cut off from the bumper anyway.
perfect. Yeah, that's that spot where they meet. It like comes down near where the mud flaps would be.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I just had to hammer that in just a little bit.
okay. Now I think you said you have a tire carrier on the car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did
Yeah. I got to
you?
swing out. The
Okay.
swing out. Yeah.
Did
It's
you
basically just
buy one or
go ahead.
make one?
No, it's made onto the two bumper that's on there.
Nice.
The two bumper just kind of wraps around the back, and then I put a basically like a piece of angle, and then you around a bolt through the top of it through the bumper itself, and then the tire just swings out off that,
Okay. Awesome.
and it's got a gas can holder or water can holder on the other side of it. So
Nice. Yeah, a little jerry can action,
yep,
dude.
jerry can on
Jerry.
one side and the spare tire on the other. Well, and the funny thing is, I was carrying gas on it for the longest time, but
Okay.
everywhere we went, we never needed fuel
Never
for
need it.
anything. I mean, the
Yeah.
gets great fuel economy, so you know you get 200 miles or 300 miles to a tank of gas. You don't really need to
Mm-hmm.
carry extra fuel with you. So I
Yeah.
just have a water, it's a jerry can that holds just water. So when we
There you
camp
go.
and stuff, we have all our water on the back.
Yeah, for camping, dude. I'll take the Subaru all day. It's not nearly as capable as the Jeep, but what good is it if it's out of gas?
And it's a lot more comfortable too. I mean, I think the
Oh,
ride is just so much more comfortable.
yeah. Even in the SG, I mean, independent suspension has its drawbacks, but I mean that's one of the biggest selling points of it. It's just easy on the body. Let's say you get to the trail and I mean, I know it's going to be different every single time, but is there kind of an air pressure that you start with when you get somewhere?
I have the little pressure relief valve thingies that are
Hmm.
set to 20. We started off at 22 normally, but if it's
Okay.
wet, we'll go down to like 20. I haven't really ever tried under 20, but I'm only running, the 215/70s on a 16-inch rim. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
got a pretty decent sidewall, but, it's not like, somebody running 30s on there that they can run
Ye-
down to 10 PSI.
exactly. Yeah, that's the hard thing because I have 35s on the Jeep, and that's a completely different game. Like if I really need to, I can run open valve cores, on that because it's such a light, like unibody 4x4. But yeah, on the Subaru, you kind of have to do a little bit more experimentation,
Yeah,
depending on what you're getting into. But I mean, I know it's probably way different out there. But do you guys get into any snow?
very rarely. We
Okay,
might get snow once every 5 years. So we don't get a whole lot of snow, but we do have wet, slick red clay and
I heard all
sand.
about
So
this. Brant was telling me about the silt you guys get out there. How does that differ from the majority of stuff that people might be used to wheeling in?
it's just weird. It's the clay is like you can go from one place that has like slick peanut butter. You swear it's peanut butter, and it's
Yeah.
and grease mixed together. I mean, it sticks to your tires, it packs in everything, and it
Yeah.
is just super slick. You can't hardly even stand on it. Sometimes it's like ice. But then you go down the trail 50 feet or so, and then it turns into sand. So then
Yeah.
you get that sand mixing with that clay, and
Hmm.
it's just a nightmare. It packs on
Okay.
everything, and when it dries, it's like cement.
Yeah, that does not sound like that sounds like the worst mix ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to drive in, but boy, it doesn't matter what kind of tread you got; it just gets packed in there and just
Yeah.
stays packed in it.
Yeah, that's something that I've found because I we don't get a lot of clay out here in most of the region that I'm in, but anytime I've been in it, it's very humbling, I guess would be a way to say it. You
Yeah,
you
it's
can
almost
think
like
you're
driving on ice.
yeah, oh, definitely. And it's super hard to evacuate it from the tires. It's not
Yeah,
like irregular mud where you just get your RPMs up and kick it out. It does not work like that. It
no,
loves sticking to the
right.
tires.
Yeah. Well, one cool thing though is when it gets dry, it's like pavement. It
Mm,
dries out real hard and it's real nice. But there's this sweet spot that is like right after it gets wet and it starts drying, it starts to get really, really tacky, and it just like sticks to the ground, so your tires stay traction. Keep
okay.
getting traction.
Yeah.
So you can climb. Like this weekend, I did some trails that I would have never tried when it was wet or dry. But since it was this tacky stuff, it was just like the traction was just perfect.
Yeah, I've not done nearly enough wheeling in anything like that. You kind of have to go down to Central Oregon to get into that. But even then, I don't think it's even remotely close to what you guys have. Obviously, these aren't 4x4s. I've been absolutely shocked at what I can get them to do.
The new four, or any of the new Subarus with the CVTs, definitely don't seem like they have quite as much like that
Yeah.
low end grunt to get up to
Yes.
steep hills. I mean, I haven't found anything like the off camber and the three wheel action and the off road, or the all the off roady like off camber stuff that they can't do because of the way
Hmm.
the traction control works on that thing.
Mm.
This weekend when we went out wheeling, there was a guy with his new Crosstrek, and the only thing he was really having trouble with is just getting up the really steep hills because it just didn't have, I don't know if it was the torque converter or the CVT was slipping or what, but
Okay.
it would get like halfway up and then it would just stall and it would just be like, I'm not going up there. And, versus other things that would kind of spin the tires, I would be
Hmm.
spinning and his would just be like, brrr, and you'd have to wheel back and forth and you'd have to rock it a little bit to get it to go. And then it would finally decide to go up it. But that's kind of why I got out of doing it with the 21 Forester. It just didn't seem like it had the steep hill gearing that it needs.
I don't think I've ever seen anything technical, like any technical documentation, but I'm I'm pretty sure that they've built things into those CVTs to like fail safes to keep them from overheating themselves. Because I talk to people all the time with that same issue. It's like the moment that on any kind of incline and they're trying to push the car, it's like the CVT just cuts out. It's like it won't deliver any power, which is
Right.
kind of frustrating, but it's probably less frustrating than spending 7 grand on a new CVT.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the wildernesses are supposed to have a little lower gear ratio.
Hmm.
So they're supposed to be able to get up a little bit more. I guess if you can get that turbo to spool up and get the tires to break free, it might go further than some of the
Yeah.
ones that without the turbo.
Well, even the lower gear ratio, I know the Outback Wilderness, I think is 444, um, which that'll do a lot. I've been shocked just, the difference that that'll make, and the turbo, obviously.
Yeah. And I think that's what
But
really helps is that turbo spooling up and just
hmm
forcing those tires to kind of break free a little bit.
what other kind of Subarus have you like when you guys go out, is it usually just a couple of you, or do you ever get out with large groups of people?
Every now and then we have a couple big group rides. We have the one event called All Wheel Drive Fest. It's at Uhari, and it's usually
Yeah,
like Hondas and Subarus all get together to do that. And that's
sick.
usually a pretty big. There's usually about 50 people that come out to that event. It's quite crazy when you get all those guys out on the trail. Subarus and Hondas together, just out there, just having a good time
Yeah. Yeah,
with
man.
Jeeps and everybody else like giving you crap because you're blocking their trail.
Yeah, that is what it is.
Yep.
Do you see any specific CUVs out there that really kind of stand above the rest in terms of capability?
Not really. I mean, when the Hondas go out with us, they have their new, I don't know what that new Honda they have is called. It almost looks like an old Blazer.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but I mean, that one seems to do pretty well. But it's just, I don't think anything really compares to the all-wheel drive system of the Subaru. I mean, I think if they got that CVT issue or the torque converter issue fixed, that
Mhm.
Subaru could do so much more than,
Yeah.
than anybody else.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but I would love to see Subaru do something for us that takes the CVT. Because I mean, I get it. They're trying to meet fuel economy requirements. They're trying to do all these things, um, and so they're kind of limited on what they can really put out to the public. But man, I would love to see them do something like give us a second set of gears, man. Give us a low
Get a
range.
low
Give us,
range. Yeah,
dude.
yeah, a low
You
range in
know,
there would be interesting.
well, we'd break a lot less axles because you'd be able to crawl instead of having to go Mach
Yeah,
3 up through a boulder field or whatever.
yeah. I just don't think there's just really a big enough. I mean, I know there's quite a few people that are into the Subaru off-roading, but I just don't
Hmm.
think there's enough of a following of off-roading Subarus for Subaru as a company to be like, you know what, we're gonna do it back to like the manual, or not the manual, but the 4E,
Yeah,
transmission, or even a manual transmission. I mean, I know they made the low ranges in
New
like
Zealand
Australia
or
and stuff, but
yeah, yeah,
if if they gave us just one model with a low range, yeah, I mean, I don't know how many of them they could sell. They would have to do like a limited quantity of like, okay, we're going to make 500, but how much are they going to have to charge you for that?
yeah.
They would be
That
they would be using old technology. It shouldn't cost as much, but
yeah. Yeah, the thing that's funny is, there is a large community of us that wheel these things, but when you look at it in the grand scheme, you're right. All of us, we're all kind of connected and we all know each other. But when you look at the big picture of, I mean, I don't know what they're doing for sales numbers. But let's just say it's 500,000 units a year or something like that. Out of that, the number of people who would have bought a different car that was more money just because it had low range, it's probably pretty slim. It's a little
yeah,
unfortunate, but they're looking at numbers. It's like, does it make sense? Is
yeah,
this going to keep our company afloat or is it going to tank us? So it's
yeah.
kind of a
Well,
bummer.
it's like
Same
the
with
electric.
yeah,
All the
yeah,
electric cars are doing. Like, what's that going to do? I mean, is it gonna tank them because they're trying to put all this money into electric?
yeah. Yeah, man, what's your opinion on all that stuff? I don't have any intention of ever owning an electric car. Like they don't
Yeah,
appeal to me at all.
no. And
I
it's
think it's
funny too because they have all these with the electric cars that make the noise that a real car makes. I'm
yeah,
like, why are you going to buy an electric car so you can have a car that sounds like a real car?
yeah,
You, I want electric, but I want to hear the noise of a real motor.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, if you're a city dweller, I mean, I guess the whole thing makes sense, but maybe I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but I just kind of feel like, oh, that's one more thing they can control. Like, oh,
right. Yep.
you you missed a car payment. We're shutting your vehicle off. Or oh, you said something on social media that we didn't think was sensitive, so we're gonna shut your car down on the middle of the freeway. Like,
Yep. Cause a
if you're
wreck. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're just gonna stick the accelerator and you can pray that you make it out of that alive.
Right. You want to make fun of my electric Ferrari? I'm going to kill you in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I know you did the show the other day with about all the different tires and
Oh yeah.
sizes and stuff. I don't know. This is a big thing with everybody. You should go wider, you go taller,
Hmm.
skinnier, wide.
Yeah.
And I've been watching a ton of videos on what's a better off-road tire, skinny or wide. But of course, all these guys are doing these tire tests for these big,
Four
big
by
trucks,
fours.
big
Yeah.
V8s,
Yeah.
big 30, 40-inch tires.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
we're just driving little Subarus with like 150 horsepower, and we don't have
Exactly.
that much power. So that's why I was kind of thinking, in my opinion, so far everything I've been looking at is a skinnier tire. I think is just kind of a better option for, like, say, the Subaru all-wheel drive cars, because it's, when you're at lower air pressure, it gives you a longer kind of a tank track tread pattern,
Okay. Oh,
which I think
that's
would be
cool.
better for, us with lower power, give you and
Yeah.
less weight. But that's kind of one of the things that I've been kind of playing with, just because, everybody's like, oh, I want to get bigger tires and bigger
Yeah.
tires and bigger tires. And, when you're bigger tires, you're also putting a lot more stress on your CV axles. You're putting a lot more stress
Everything.
on everything.
Brakes,
You know,
wheel
a
bearings,
bigger
ball
tire weighs
joints.
more.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you say that because I run a 235 75 15 on my Forester, but I tell people all the time, don't run this. This is probably not what you should run. You should try to stay close to stock. If you can size down in your wheel size and get more sidewall with the same diameter, you can do that. That's the best approach.
Yeah.
But man, you're right. There are people that are just like, well, I'm going to cut the car enough to where I could put 33s on my Outback. It's like, well, let me know how that goes.
Right.
Because you're going to be less capable on the trails, because people
Yeah.
just think bigger tires, more capable. And that is absolutely not true. Like you're probably going to outwheel somebody on your tire setup versus somebody that's, running something substantially bigger without a turbo and without a low gear, like all day, like no comparison.
Well, that's what me and Brent we always talked about tires, because when I was getting tires, I was like, "Hey, what are you running?" And he's like 29.2 or something, just a little
Hmm.
bit, a little bigger. And he's
Yeah.
like, "But I wouldn't go anything bigger than a 29, just because, it's kind of that happy medium. It's not You're not going to lose a lot of power with that bigger tire, and you're still going to have some ground clearance over the little 27-inch tire that comes on the car."
He and I actually talked about that when I interviewed him, and yeah, I think you're spot on because it's such a counterintuitive thing with, like you said, everybody that's online that's talking about this stuff, they're all in Rubicons, FJ40s, or I'm not FJ40s, but FJ80s, all sorts of 4x4s. That's a completely different world.
Yeah.
So people will
And I,
come
and
into
I,
the Subaru community and say all the wrong stuff, and people are like, "Oh yeah, this is what I need to do."
Yeah, I mean, bigger isn't always better. I mean,
Yeah,
it's skill. If you keep a smaller tire on there, you have to pick the better line.
yeah,
It makes you a better driver. These guys with these big 40s, they don't have to pick a line. They just
yeah.
pile over whatever they want to pile over.
Exactly. It's a completely different driving experience when I'm out in the Jeep. That thing is literally point and shoot in the same areas where I have to struggle through with the Forester. Uh,
Right.
and the amount of craziness that you have to get into to make it a challenge on something that's 35s, 37s and up is just like, what are we even doing? Like let's take the Foresters out. Let's go camping. Let's do something that's challenging, but also not, 4-foot boulders and rock walls that are gonna, kill somebody.
Yeah, I think if they had a low range, we'd probably try more of the rock walls and
Dude,
cliffs and stuff. But
it would be almost like driving a side by side. Obviously you're
yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna have the same amount of travel just because of the way that those are built, and they're built with the intention of going off road. But I mean, literally, you could do all sorts of wild stuff if they just give us some way. I mean, I don't even know how you would do it because the front diff is integrated into the transmission, and that doesn't really make sense to just do a regular transfer case like you would on a 4x4. But come on, Subaru,
right,
I know you guys got Japanese people working for you. You guys are wizards.
yeah.
You could do
Well,
it.
what I was almost thinking, and I don't know if it could be done or if it's already been done, is having a limited slip front differential.
Mm,
The same one that you take out of the back, that comes in the SJs. Take that same one and
yeah.
put it in the front. If that would probably give you a lot more traction on the front of those things.
Oh, probably. I
But I
I
just
just I don't know how it works because you'd have to split the transmission case open, and that
right,
gives me the willies.
yeah,
I'm telling you, man, that scares the heck out of me. I've never
Well, that's
opened.
how I felt when I was doing the center diff. I was like,
Yeah,
taking that back end off. I was
yeah,
like,
that
this
tail
is,
shaft.
yeah. I was like, this is scary. But taking the one off the junkyard first, so I knew what I was
There
kind of
you
in
go.
for.
Yeah. Now, that whole thing, was that done out of necessity, or was it an upgrade that you were just wanting to do? You didn't blow the
It
old
was
one
just
up?
an upgrade. Brent
Okay.
Brent did it, so I was like, I'm going to do it too because
There you
I seen what his was doing at the time. I was just wheeling with him in the 21 Forester, and he was going
Okay.
through so many different crazy things, and I was like, I got to get one of those. And then when I got it, I asked for his part list. I was like, all right, what
There you
did you
go.
do? I got to find all this stuff to put on mine.
He's a smart dude. Um,
Yeah, oh yeah,
we talked for a long time, a couple weeks ago, and yeah, he's like a very intuitive, like very intellectual person, and I could kind of tell that just from seeing his input on Instagram, and then even in some of the Facebook groups. So I was a little intimidated to talk to him, but
yeah.
it was good. He
But
put out a
he's a
lot
great
of good
guy though,
info.
dude.
He
We
is,
camp
man.
all the time and hang out, and
Yeah,
he's down to earth. Everything's cool. But you're right, he is very, very intelligent on everything off roading
yeah,
and a
yeah,
lot of other
absolutely.
things too.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah,
What he was telling me, he's like a geologist. I was like, oh, you're the first
geologist, yeah,
geologist I've interviewed.
right.
That's a crazy line of work to be in. I love it. So I know you guys kind of go out to Uari a little bit. What are some of the other places that you like to get out and wheel? Are there other options kind of in your general area?
Yeah, we have Gulch's Off Road Park, which is like probably 2 hours from my house in Columbia, and then we have
Okay.
Lake Hauser, which is probably 2 hours up toward Charlotte, North Carolina. Those are like the places that are real close. But I mean, if we want to do a 5 hour drive, we can go to Windrock,
Yeah.
and really get into some crazy stuff in Windrock. Um,
Windrock is crazy.
yeah, we took the 21 Forester up there like 2 years ago, and it was just insane. I was like, I can't believe
Yeah.
we're driving this on the trails. I think I dented the center diff skid plate, got a big dent in it. The front motor mount skid plate got a big dent in it. I was like, yep, I'm buying something different. I can't be driving this on this kind of stuff.
Yeah. A $35,000 Forester, probably,
Yep,
little
yep.
little intimidating to take that out, knowing you're going to beat the dog piss out of every body panel and all the undercarriage.
Yeah, because it's so rocky. I mean, everything's like
Hmm.
rock ledges and mud and just slick
Yeah.
craziness.
So when I was talking to Brant, I totally had like the biggest brain fart. I was trying to think of what that place was called, because there's a guy on YouTube. His name is Dex Jays. He just wrecks old Jeeps, or like he has a wrecking yard where he takes old Jeeps and kind of saves them, but parts them out and puts them on other cars, or just sells them online. And he did a trail run to Windrock, and I was like, that looks absolutely crazy, because it had that same clay, like silt stuff that we were talking about in Uari. And he was sitting there, I think on like 37s or 40s or something, flat ground, just spinning the tires, all four tires just spinning. What in the world? Like, how are you supposed to wheel in this, dude?
Yeah.
Like you
If it
said, it's like
rains, you might as
ice.
well just go home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were maybe still at full air pressure at that point. You'd have to dump a
Oh,
lot to make that work. But just getting out of the car to spot somebody sounds like a dangerous game.
yeah.
Slip, and that's definitely happened to me in the snow out here. We don't get a lot of snow in town most of the time, but up in the hills, it's all you got to do is drive up it and get into it. And we get kind of heavier snow in certain regions. And man, once that stuff packs down and you get out into it, it's not hard at all to like slip and twist an ankle out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Like, I need
Yeah, I
my
mean,
cleats.
I grew up in New York, so we had that lake effect snow. So yeah, I know how that
Yeah,
is. It's just super, super nasty.
yeah. When did you leave New York?
Oh, like 92, I think.
Okay, okay. Were you like, what part of New York were you in? Like upstate or?
Um, yeah, right outside of Buffalo.
Okay, dude. What the heck? What did you? I mean, I'm not gonna ask how old you are, but what caused you to leave the area?
Oh, it was just time to go. I needed a fresh start doing something
Yeah,
else.
yeah. I know that feeling.
So Yep, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, when it's time to go, it's time to go.
Yeah.
You just have that feeling that you need to get a fresh start and start over. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Pack up and let's roll. That's what I did, man. I've lived in other countries and lived in different parts of the states, and a lot of people, it's like they never leave like a 5 mile radius of where they were born.
right.
It's
Well, that's
that.
that. I mean, when I lived there, it was like that. I went to school in the same little town. I was
Hmm.
raised there, went through, graduated high school, and probably stayed there 2 years after high school. And it was like
Yeah.
just too much trouble. I got to
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
something else to do with my life. It was just a
Yeah.
small town. There was nothing there. You had nothing to work for. No
Yeah.
town. Now you go
Yeah.
there and there's a Walmart and there's
Right.
everything else in that town, but it's still the same little town.
When I moved overseas, I remember that I was living over there and all these experiences. It felt like I was on a different planet, kind of, and doing all these different things, seeing all these different cultures and all this stuff. And I come back and everybody's doing the same thing, like still smoking weed in their mom's basement, still, do literally no aspiration to do anything. Kind of weird because I felt like I'd lived this whole other life, and these people had never stopped living whatever childish high school style life they were into. So,
You go back and you have flashbacks. You're like, did I really ever
yeah,
leave? What year is it?
right, exactly. Your camping setup. It sounds like that's what you do a lot of is just outdoor stuff like fishing, camping, that type of stuff. And I think that's where these cars really excel
Oh
is
yeah.
a mode of transportation to get you to a specific activity, even if it involves a little bit of off-roading. Is there any specific stuff that you've kind of added to your collection that helps you? I don't know if you're camping out of the car or if you're tent camping or what you're doing, but what's all that look like for you?
Well, so we do like before I got into the off-roading thing, we used to do a ton of kayak camping. So we
Mm,
would basically hook the
nice.
kayaks in the big four kayak trailer to the back of the car,
Yeah.
go wherever we're going to go, unload the kayaks, float down the river, 4 or 5 miles, 2 3 days, set up camp, fish, hang out, come back, the end of the weekend or whatnot, and then come back. So it was definitely a good thing to have a good capable car to tow,
Yeah.
four kayaks down some dirt roads out in the middle of nowhere to get to these awesome fishing spots.
Yeah.
And we all hammock camp, so it makes it kind of nice.
Okay.
If we're about when we're on the rivers, rivers always go fluctuate, so you never
Yeah.
know what they're going to do. That's why we hammock camp because of that.
Do you just string them up there on the trees, or do you have something where you put one end up on something that's on the car?
We have two different. Normally, we just hang them from the trees, but our trailer that hauls the kayaks actually has a rack off the back that you can extend out, and then it's
Okay.
got a V on that, so you can hang two kayaks from the trailer when the
Sick.
kayaks are on the ground, or hang two
Okay.
hammocks on the
Okay.
on the
That's
trailer,
awesome.
so that when you don't have trees, it makes it nice.
And then are there other accessories or like different things that you like solar panels, anything like that, refrigerators,
So
anything that you take?
when we car camp, we actually use an EcoFlow, one of the EcoFlow 2500s, I
Yeah.
think is what it is. It's the bigger EcoFlow, and that'll run our cooler, our electric cooler, and
Nice.
whatever else we need to run pretty much 2 3 days. We do have solar panels for it also. If we go camping for like a week or so, we'll take the solar panels, just set them on the roof of the car and hook them up to the EcoFlow, and that'll keep that topped off to keep the cooler running.
Oh, heck yeah. Okay. Yeah, I honestly don't do a lot of camping or like overlanding, which is really bad, but I'm just always so busy that it's like, man, I don't have time to take a whole week off, that type of thing. But I'd love to do more of that type of stuff. Okay, what did you get? Did she just bring you a beer?
No, no,
Oh,
no, that's
okay.
just Orange Crush.
Oh, okay, okay. I was gonna say, oh, dude, your wife brought you a beer. That's sick.
No, yeah, that was actually my son brought me it.
Oh,
I didn't
even
even
better,
ask; he
dude.
just gave it. Yep,
What a gangster. I love that.
yep.
That's awesome. Now how many people are you still taking the four kayaks out when you're taking the Subarus?
Well, most of the time we just take three.
Okay.
Unless my son's girlfriend decides she wants to go too, then we'll take all four.
Okay.
And we have the Hobie pedal drive kayaks, so it makes it real
Oh,
nice because
nice.
you don't when you're fishing off the kayak, your hands free. You know, it makes it
Yeah,
super
yeah.
easy to go.
Okay. And do you ever just roof rack kayaks out to wherever you're going, or do you always trailer them?
No, we always trailer them. They're
Okay.
like 130 pounds a piece,
Holy
so it's hard to
fuck.
lift that big 12-foot kayak up on the roof of a car.
Okay.
It's easier, like I say, you just back the trailer down to the water, slide them off into the water, and they're good to go.
Boom. There you go. Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
and all
love
your
that.
camping gear and everything just sits in the front, front of the
Okay.
trailer. And, dry bags have been probably our best investment.
Mm-hmm.
The big 50 or 60 liter dry bags, you can just put, all your sleeping
Everything.
gear in there and your
Yeah.
sleeping bags and your hammock and everything just goes in there. You just plop it on the back of the
Heck yeah.
kayak and go.
Okay. Right on, man.
And we
Now,
even we even use that same setup for like just overlanding, just because you can, you take your bag out and your clothes and everything is in a dry bag. You just throw it under the hammock. If it rains or snows or does whatever,
there you
everything
go.
stays dry. We had one time that was just insane. We were out camping and we parked down in this little reservoir that never floods. And my buddy took his Subaru down there, and that night they must have opened up both dams on both rivers and ended up
Okay.
flooding that whole area. We came back out, and I was like, dude, if your car's underwater, don't try to start it. Just leave it there. We'll come and get it in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And sure enough, he goes over there, opens up the door. There's water all the way up in the seats, and he tries to crank it up. And I'm like, dude, I told you not to try to fire that up. It ain't going to start. The computer's
New engine.
underwater.
Yeah, dude. New
It,
engine time.
I mean, luckily the water wasn't up high enough to get in the airbox.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
we got lucky with that. It was just high enough to just barely touch the bottom of the seats inside, but
Okay.
it did get the computer. Um, so the next morning we basically went back. I went to the junkyard, pulled a new computer out of another car, took it out there, plugged it in, it fired right up. But
What kind of car was this?
we Outback,
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
yeah, it was
they
that
put our
'06
ECUs in.
Outback.
Okay, yeah, yeah. They put our ECUs in literally the worst spot ever.
That's the first thing I did with mine is I moved my ECU from under the seat to behind the
Yeah.
glove box.
Same.
There's two little bolts back there that'll bolt right up behind the glove box. I did a video for it, I think.
Okay.
I don't remember where I did that, but on showing you how to replace that or move that box, the ECU up behind the glove
Okay.
box.
I just stuffed mine up there with some Velcro. I've never looked for other screw holes. I'll have to check that out because
Yeah, if you
mine's
take the
just
glove box
ghetto.
out, there's two little screw holes right there that fits
Okay.
right on.
No kidding. Okay.
Yep. It's
Yeah,
like it
that's
was almost meant to be there.
right. And then somebody over there was like, I know, let's put it on the floor so that their car
Right.
won't start. And
Right. Uh,
literally the worst possible spot. They couldn't have picked a worse spot to put an ECU
Well, they're
inside the
probably like
car.
nobody's ever going to go into water this high. It's like
Yeah.
they don't know how Americans
Surprise.
work.
Yeah, give us a bad idea and we'll see if we can top it, you know.
Yep,
I've
exactly.
never picked anybody's brain about towing in a Subaru. Are you typically pulling that kayak trailer? Is that in the SG or the newer Forester, or which car are you doing that
Yeah,
in?
the 21 and the 99 Outback. I
Okay.
tow it with both.
Okay.
The SG, I just never put a trailer hitch on it
Okay.
because it's mainly for off road.
How hard is it to get set up for towing in a Subaru?
Oh, it's not hard. I mean, you can get a
Okay.
trailer hitch really cheap, and it's real easy to put on there. I've
Okay.
installed both of mine by myself, so it
Okay.
wasn't a big deal at all. Took probably an hour to put them on. I think
Okay.
both of them you have to drop the exhaust in order to put them on. But
That makes sense because they got that spot that goes up over the
yeah,
over
and it
the.
bolts right to the subframe on the bottom.
Okay. What about the wiring for them? Is the harness
Um,
issue hard at all, or?
no, actually, both of them had a wire harness pigtail already in behind the brake light.
Oh, okay.
It was a plug back there already. Just plugged the wiring kit right into it.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, because I've never had a need to tow anything, but I know there's
right.
tons of people out there doing it. How do the cars handle it? Like, do you ever feel like they're
Um,
struggling or
I
they want to overheat?
I've never had either one of them overheat. I can definitely tell that the car is struggling, and not driving it, you can't tell, but when you look at the gas mileage, it's
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
it goes from 26 miles to the gallon to 18. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. A whole
and
lot
it's
more
not like the
throttle.
kayak trailers. Yeah, it's not like the kayak trailer's heavy. I mean, it's the trailer's probably 100 pounds. Each kayak's 100 pounds. So, you're pulling 500 pounds behind you. You wouldn't think it would be that bad, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's always, the seat, you can watch the tack and it's always going up and down with the
Mm.
CVT. So,
Is the trailer wide enough to where it adds any wind resistance or anything? Or
it's the same width as the car, and it doesn't sit up any higher than the roof of the car does. So,
okay. In the SG, what kind of fuel economy do you, if you pay attention to it at all, since that's kind of your main
I,
off-roading rig, what do you see in that?
yeah, I mean, I usually get about 200 miles to a tank of gas, but I usually don't go below like a quarter of a tank. I'll
Okay.
get like 200 miles, and then it's like at a quarter of a tank, and I'm like, I got to put gas in it.
Yeah.
So I don't ever like running it below a quarter of a tank.
Me,
But
me neither, because you never know what kind of stuff's hiding in there, waiting to just get sucked up through the strainer. I don't like that weird feeling of what if I run out of gas? It's
right,
like
yep.
even if I'm in town, that's like a big no thanks. Having to hike out and get a gas can. No, I'm not doing that.
I mean, we did the Georgia Traverse in the 21 Forester, and it's
Okay.
goes from South Carolina through the whole state of Georgia, and then it's all dirt roads. I mean, it's dirt roads, forest roads, logging
Okay.
trails. I don't remember how many miles it was, but I think I did take a 2 gallon gas can with me on that adventure just because I didn't
Okay.
know where the gas stations were
Where?
going to be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're out in the middle of nowhere in the mountains of Georgia. It's like
Yeah.
you might not see a gas station for 3 days.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, it wasn't. I mean, there was some areas where you're going through a dirt road and then it comes out on pavement for like 4 miles and there's a gas station right there. So
Yeah.
it was real easy to get gas. I still don't
Yeah.
like that feeling of running out of gas. Some people in my family will drive their cars until the gas light's on and then be like, "Oh, the gas light's been on for 3 days. I think I should probably get gas."
Yeah. You should have got gas like a week ago, dude.
Right, exactly. The gas
Oh
light
man.
isn't a suggestion; it's a
Yeah.
warning saying you're going to be out of gas soon.
What kind of tips do you have for people that, because there are a lot of people that are listening to this that haven't yet lifted their car or ever taken it off road? Do you have any kind of tips for people to get started, whether it's some of the first mods they should install or even driving technique and expectations that they can have with the cars?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people the first thing they need to do if they plan on doing any off-roading is getting the skid plates put on. I mean, lifts are nice and everything else is nice to have, but if you don't have the skid plates, that's the first thing that's going to hit a rock, and then you're going to be stranded with all this cool equipment on your car
Yep,
with no motor. So I always
absolutely.
tell them first things first, put a skid plate on it. The motor skid plate, the transmission skid plate, the rear
Hmm.
diff. I mean, it's a pretty beefy,
Let that,
stout thing, but if
yeah, let it eat
I would
rocks.
still,
Those things don't care.
yeah. But I mean, I put them on there anyway. But I always tell them, I'm like, do the transmission and the motor skid plate first. That even
Yeah,
before you put tires on it, a lift on it, everything else can kind of last without it. But after the skid plate, I would say probably tires,
hmm,
going up maybe one size on the tires, even before a lift, just because your tires are your second most important part of
yes,
off-roading. You got to have
yeah,
good contact with the ground, and that's
yeah,
another one of those things. That's like you got to decide what kind of tires you want. You want your mud terrains, your all terrains, your rugged terrains. Depending on if you're driving off-road once a year or off-road every weekend. So that'll be another determining factor on what tires you want to get. And then I always tell people, I mean, if you're going to go plan on doing any off-road, at least go up one size. If you're in a 60, go up to a 65, maybe a 70 series. Stay with the same width. I don't really like to go any wider than what they come with. And then, of course, do the suspension after the tires. And then you can worry about like the rock sliders, the fog lights, the roof racks, or the all that stuff. And then, of course, the fun stuff inside the car is one of the things that nobody ever talks about is a first aid kit. You definitely want to
Yes.
get a first aid kit in your car and make sure you have a first aid kit in there. And then, your basic tools, get a set of sockets, your metric, because Subarus run all metric. So you can get a metric
Hmm.
set of sockets and wrenches. And then, of course, start doing the fun stuff. Your air compressor, your tire gauges.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess your tire gauges are probably kind of up there too in your importance, but because you want to be able to deflate your tires when you're off roading. Finding your happy place with your tires is the big thing.
Hmm.
25 pounds is probably a good place to start for pretty much any tire. But if you're running a little 50 or 60 series tire, you don't really want to go below, 25 pounds.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the first aid kit because I always tell people first aid kit, fire extinguisher.
Yep,
Nobody,
yep. I forgot
unless
about the fire
they're,
extinguisher, but yeah,
yeah, unless, I mean, because we're literally out in the middle of nowhere. Like the fire
right.
department's not coming. They're not coming.
Yep,
You can't even get a hold of them. They're not coming to tourniquet your leg that you just, mangled. They're not coming to put out a stupid fire that you caused because you didn't put a fuel line on all the way or whatever happened.
right.
It's- Everything ends with you when you're out on the trails. You got to
Yep.
be able to manage it. That is something that I would like to learn more about is like actual first aid, not just like, oh, here's a band aid or oh, here's something to stop the
Right.
bleeding. But do you have
Yeah.
any experience in that type of stuff at all?
I really don't. Um, we do a couple of courses. I meant to do it last year. Georgia Bushcraft has a thing like that, and they go over. It's
Okay.
a whole bushcraft event, but they have people out there that will go over like forest first aid. What kind of things you can get out of the forest to help first aid.
Oh,
Do first aid for like splints
oh,
and
I never thought of that.
medicine and all that fun stuff. But that's one of the things I think we're going to do this year is we're going to take a couple of those courses just because there is so many more of us going off road and we are starting to do a lot more crazy off roading things. That it probably wouldn't hurt to have some real first aid knowledge. I mean, I have everything in the car that I would need for first aid. The first aid kit, the tourniquet, the blankets, all that fun stuff. But
Yeah,
having the knowledge how to use all that is probably more important than having it.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's just like anything. You can have all this fancy equipment, but if you don't know how to use it, it's not doing you any good.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely need to learn more about that stuff. I'm usually very cautious. I appreciate my body more than anybody else, and so I'm very careful with it. But it doesn't matter, man. You never know what is
Right.
going to
Yeah.
happen.
You get out of the car and step on a slick rock, and the next thing you
It,
know, your head's bashing against the door, and now you're bleeding all over the place.
exactly. Or now you got some crazy compound fracture because your foot wedged in between two rocks. You got a compound tib fib fracture. You ever experienced or seen any injuries out on the trails or anything?
Fortunately, no.
Good.
I'm glad I
Okay.
have not. We have not had any
Yeah.
people injuries besides like getting slapped in the face with a stick or something.
Yeah.
So nothing
Yeah.
major.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of busted knuckles, working on stuff out on the trails,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm in the same boat, man. I always take all the precautions, like put a wheel under the car if you got to climb under it, whatever. Like we're not trying to get crushed out here under some stupid
yeah,
rig just to go wheeling.
yeah. Well, and that's actually kind of another thing that I don't think a whole lot of people talk about is if you're going out wheeling, you need to go with somebody. I mean, I'm
Yes.
really bad at doing this myself, going out by myself. But especially if you're getting into it and you're new, you definitely should always have somebody else with you, even if it's just a
Absolutely.
passenger. I mean, it's always good to have two cars, but if you can't have two cars, at least have two people in the car. So if
Yeah.
something does happen, you have somebody else to help.
Yeah, or go call for help.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things. Like if I'm just having a conversation with somebody in person, that's usually what I tell them. If you're gonna go do this, there's tons of off-road groups just about everywhere in the country. And yeah, we drive Subarus, and you might not find the right group right away, but the amount of knowledge that I picked up, um, just within one wheeling trip going out, like because now I wheel with a bunch of like old dudes, they're all like grandpas and stuff, and the stuff
right.
they've seen, it's like within one wheeling trip out with these guys, you know, they're all farmers and stuff. They're like, man, I've seen everything, I've done everything, and I just learned a ton, like within 1 6 hour period out on the trail with these dudes. It's like I would have had to watch a ton of YouTube videos, a bunch of trial and error, when it's like, oh, if you just get around the right people, you just start to sort of absorb that information and it comes up naturally, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, and it's funny because I'm like the oldest. Me and my wife are like the oldest people in our wheeling
Okay.
groups that we go with. You
Nice.
know, it's like everybody else we wheel with her are like in their 20s and 30s, and you know, we're not.
Yeah, yeah. Well, me neither, man. I'm getting I look a lot younger than I am, but I'm in the old man camp now.
You're hanging out with younger people all the time. You feel younger, and it keeps you
Oh
young.
yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of that stuff starts between the ears, man. The
Right.
aging process really starts to kick people in the butt when their mindset shifts, when they start to like accept like, oh, I guess I am 65, I shouldn't be working out anymore. No, 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 you need to work out harder right now because your
Right.
body
Yeah.
will slow down when you let it.
Yeah. Oh,
It's-
I can tell. I can tell mine's been slowing down, and I need to. I was telling the wife the other day, I'm like, I need to start going and exercising and going for walks in the morning or something, you know,
yeah.
just to just get me back to where I was. I mean, I used to do like professional mountain bike racing and downhill and BMX and all that stuff when I was in my 30s, and 20 years later, I'm not doing it anymore, and I need to be. I still have all my stuff, you know, I still got my mountain bikes and all my stuff, but I'm just,
Dude, you were doing that stuff in your 30s?
oh yeah,
Dude, that's
yeah, I
so.
was,
Man, I grew up snowboarding and skateboarding, and I remember people always telling me like, "Oh, you guys are crazy. You guys don't care about your body, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Have you seen mountain bikers? Those guys don't give a fudge about their bodies.
right, yeah,
You
yeah.
guys
No,
are
I mean,
you guys are animals."
when I was doing that, man, I was traveling to like Vermont and Pennsylvania and Florida. Like every weekend, I was going somewhere to do, you know, mountain biking, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was. I think that's where I got my fetish for tires and always looking at
Yes.
tires, because if it was mountain biking, man, you always were going through tires and trying to figure out what tire is the most efficient, what gives you the best traction at high speed, what's less rolling resistance, and it's. I got probably 8,000 tires sitting under the house from my mountain
Yeah.
biking days. It's like my wife's like, "Are you going to get rid of those?" I'm like, "Well, I think I
No.
might get back into riding."
How did you first get into that? Like, I got to hear some stories, man. I had no idea you were into this stuff.
Well, mountain biking, when I left New York, we went to West Virginia,
What
and
part?
I lived in West Virginia for like 5 years.
What part of West
Um,
Virginia?
like Clarksburg and Morgantown.
Okay, I was born in Huntington, which is
Yeah.
now the
Okay.
ghetto.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny how places like that change.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Um,
interrupt. I was just curious.
no, but you're fine. Yeah. But yeah. So I went there, and I got a part-time job at a bike shop, and I started riding, you know, riding my bicycle back and forth to work every day. And my
Okay.
boss was like, "Hey, why don't you start going riding with me?" And I started riding with him, and he got me into the mountain bike cross country stuff. And then I started competing, and it was just crazy from there. Um, and then when we moved to South Carolina, I kept competing, but then I started doing some different things. I started doing some downhill and some dual slalom.
So downhill is absolutely absurd. I don't know what the slalom stuff is though. Can you
The
kind of
slalom,
tell people
yeah,
about
the
this stuff?
slalom's almost like it's a downhill, but there it was just two of you. You start like it's almost like a BMX race. Two of you start in a gate, and you go down and you zigzag between the flags all the way down to the bottom of the hill. And of course, it's like dual elimination. You know, you just keep going until you're the
Okay.
last one going.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. And I did that, and I picked up a ton of sponsors. And I mean, I had, you know, Specialized was sponsoring me for a couple of years, you know,
No
giving me
way,
bikes and
dude.
tires. And I had SRAM, yes, Scram shifters,
Okay.
doing all my shifters and derailleurs and brakes and all that stuff on my bikes. It was a lot of fun. And then I got into doing BMX to try to help my dual slalom, because I was doing really well on
Yeah.
slalom. But all the guys were like, "You need to do BMX because it'll help you with your handling skills and your flow and all that."
Okay.
So I got into the BMX thing for like 4 or 5 years and ended up going to all the way like number one in the region
That's
for
sick.
my age category.
That's so sick,
And
dude.
and then I got hurt. I freaking crashed one time really bad and knocked myself like silly and took
Yeah.
a break. And then I got into kayak fishing after that. And then I
Okay.
just been doing the kayak fishing since then. And I even picked up a couple sponsors doing kayak fishing. So that was, it's been kind of cool.
Dude,
The
that's so
off-roading
rad.
hasn't, the off-roading, I haven't been able to pick up as many sponsors, but the times have changed a lot more now too, though.
Yeah.
Um,
Everything, it
but
would absolutely, what, like you said, it's changed a lot. It's not like it used
yeah,
to be at all, man.
yeah. I mean, back in the '90s, it was so much easier to pick up sponsors. There wasn't social media, as much, so it was
Yeah.
like all about presenting yourself at all
Magazines.
these events and just going everywhere and doing things and showing yourself. That's how
Yeah.
you got the sponsorship. Now it's all about how many followers you have to see how many, if you can get sponsored or not.
Yeah, I still keep up with skateboarding a little bit because that's kind of like my first love is skateboarding.
Right,
And I'll see it's like all you have to do is be an influencer, and there'll be
right,
these people that they're not even like an eighth of the raw talent of the people that I watched as a kid 20 years ago, but here they are, they're sponsored and they're making substantially more money than the pros when I was a kid. And it's just because, like you said, it's that follower count. Like, oh, I've got 800,000 people that will buy whatever I tell them to buy, and I get
right.
it. I mean, it's advertising and sponsorships. It's all about making money. But I miss the '90s. We'll just say that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
for
'90s
sure.
were sick.
It, yep. We did so much stuff back in the '90s that kids nowadays would never even understand. And
Yeah,
there's nothing to prove that we did it or didn't do it.
right.
That's
Because
the greatest thing.
nobody had phones. Nobody had video. I mean, if
Nope.
you had like a Super 8 camera, or those old VX, whatever those were that we used to film with, like, yeah, you might have some footage somewhere, but it was all physical. There was nothing digital,
Right.
all
Yep.
physical tapes, and you'd have to sit there and like edit like real tape. You're like, oh, dude, and then you wear the tape out trying to edit it. Just
Yep.
completely
Yeah.
different. I miss the '90s, as
But
you can tell
that's,
from all the crap behind me.
I don't see an Atari back there.
You know what? This is going to sound bad, but I never played an Atari. We had one when I was a kid that we inherited from somebody, but it was broken, so I never got to play it.
I was never really into video games growing up either. I mean, I was always outside,
Yeah.
exploring, playing in the woods, riding my bike, trying to
You
do
know,
crazy things that you shouldn't be
would
doing.
get you arrested now, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it was actually the same for me. I didn't play video games really. I played them sparingly as a kid, but I couldn't afford them. So it wasn't until I got older that I was like, oh, I got to buy. And I don't even play any of them. I just own them because it's like, oh, this is the stuff I wanted as a kid,
Right. Yep.
The mountain biking stuff. Can you give me an idea of like some of the average speeds of the stuff you were doing with downhill?
Oh, I have no clue because a lot of the downhill stuff that we did back then wasn't like it is now. Now
Okay.
they're just shooting you down these slopes where you're hitting like 50, 60, 70 mile an hour. Most of
Yeah.
our downhill stuff was like real technical through the woods. I mean, you'd be lucky
Okay.
if you hit like 30 because you're always zipping through trees and
Okay.
single track and moguls and jumps and all kinds of crazy stuff. It
Yeah.
was more of a technical sport than a speed sport. Now it's all big air and tricks. Back then it was about keeping on the ground and pedaling.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to see a double backflip. They wanted to see a 3-second time on a 4 mile downhill.
Yeah. Yeah. I watch some of those pro downhill videos now and I'm just like, you have to be on drugs right now. There's no way you're doing this completely sound mind. Like, no
Well, I
way.
mean, but the bikes have like 12 inches of travel. It's basically like a dirt bike with no
That's
motor.
true. That is true.
It's back when I was in it, you'd be lucky if you had 3 inches of front and rear wheel travel.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, everything's progressed. It just gets crazier and crazier, with any of the extreme sports, even snowboarding, it's like the technology improves and then everybody, it's like when you see somebody do something, it like breaks this barrier in your mind like, okay, I saw this person do this. So I know it's possible. And then it just snowballs, man. People are like doing crazier stuff every season. And
Well, that's what happens when me and Brent go out off-roading. It's like he'll be like, I can go up this hill, and he'll try and try and try it, and I'll be like, all right, well, he did it. I guess I got to do it now too.
yeah. So are there
What can I
any
do?
yeah, yeah. Are there any mods on your Forester that you want to do that you think would make it more capable?
I really don't think there's anything else that you could really do to it. I mean, I think I've done everything that's, possibly done besides, putting better struts and springs on it, but besides that, I don't think there's really anything else you could do.
Yeah.
Maybe go with a smaller size to go to 15-inch rim,
Hmm.
and a 75 series tire might help improve a little bit because you can run a little lower pressure.
Let me ask you about the coilover thing. I see talk online about, oh, the only right way to lift anything is with long travel coilovers, blah, 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 blah. I disagree with that pretty heavily. But Brant, he's doing these long distance, 24-hour things,
Right.
where you kind of need that extra fluid capacity. It makes a lot of sense in those cases. But in terms of actual technical capability, since you guys are pretty much same car, same setup almost, are there situations where you feel like if you had long travel coilovers, you'd be substantially more capable?
I don't know. It might help in some situations where you have that extra wheel droop to give you a little more traction on areas where you're really way off camber.
Yeah.
I could see how that might help with that. Um, and like I said, there's been some places that we've gone where I followed the exact same line he has and not been able to make it up the hill. And I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot of variances. It could be the suspension, it could have been the tires, it could have been the momentum.
Yeah.
But I could see how a longer travel with droop would definitely help a little bit on some situations because you're getting more suspension travel, so you're getting more contact with the ground.
I know I just talked to him and I should have all this stuff fresh in my mind. I know he had to do a little bit of modification because, with the Subarus, you've got like you're limited to what kind of travel you can get anyways because of
Right,
the
yeah, because the
control arm
droop
and the
the droop will
subframe.
hit the subframe.
Ex-
Yeah,
exactly. I know he's running STI control arms up front, but yeah, I have such a hard time like telling people to spend that extra 4 grand on,
right.
coilovers.
The other downside to those are they're nicer shocks, but that also means you have to take more time to rebuild them.
Absolutely.
So you're
Yeah.
gonna have to spend, you spend that 4 grand. They're a nicer ride, but now you got to
Hmm.
spend a weekend taking them all apart and rebuilding them every
If
year
you know
or every
how.
so many thousand miles, right?
Yes.
Versus
Yeah.
just a contained unit like a factory strut that there's nothing you can do to it unless you
Yeah.
break it. You break it, then you replace it.
And for some people, it's the right thing. For some people, they do need it. They are, you know, using the car for what would actually, benefit that extra money spent.
Yeah, like what Brent's doing since he's doing those 24-hour races, that
Hmm.
suspension is definitely for what he needs. I mean, he needs a suspension that he can tune. I mean, he's
Yeah.
going on a trip that has a lot of little washboard stuff. He can tune that suspension to be faster. If he's going somewhere that has a lot of big dips and drops, he can slow it down,
Hmm.
to make it um, more supple on the big hits. But
Yeah.
that's what's nice about that suspension. And you can change the spring rate. On a stock suspension, yeah, I can change the spring rate by putting different springs in it, but that's a lot of work.
Yeah. A lot of work and a lot of extra money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He and I talked a little bit about that because I felt like he would probably be one of the best people to answer some of those questions. And, he was saying, yeah, most of the time people don't even their car doesn't weigh enough if they're doing a stiffer spring rate to even get the compression to take advantage of the
Right.
long travel because these are such light unibody cars. And that was a thought that hadn't occurred to me. But yeah, I think it's funny that you guys are literally same platform, almost the same setup, but that's like the one major difference that you guys have. So I thought that
Yeah.
would be interesting to hear your take on it.
It's one of those things with, like I said, the struts in his tires. Like I said, he's got a 15-inch rim and I got a 16-inch rim. And I know
Yeah.
that extra, half inch of tire sidewall makes a difference too. But hey, so on your on your Forester, you got a transmission cooler in that?
I don't, not yet.
Yeah, I just installed one a while back, and it actually helps dramatically
Okay.
over, because I have the scan gauge tool
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah. Scan gauge
And
2.
yep, the scan gauge
Okay.
too, yeah. So I have that set up to where it'll actually tell you, your coolant temperature, your transmission temperature, whatever else you want it to tell you.
Yeah.
But since I put that in there, the transmission temperature has gone down like dramatically with a transmission cooler mounted on the front of the radiator.
Okay.
My transmit because was it the transmission usually stays about the same temperature as the radiator because the radiator is what cools the
Yeah.
coolant.
Yeah.
So after putting that transmission cooler on there, it stays like 50 degrees cooler
No
than the
kidding.
water temperature.
No, that's
So,
awesome.
and then I put a fan on it also because it gets really hot here in the summer.
Oh
It's
yeah.
100 degrees like every day.
Yeah.
So with that transmission cooler on there and that fan on the front of the transmission cooler, it, like I said, it'll stay 50 degrees cooler than the coolant.
Yeah, than
Um,
the engine coolant. How'd you plumb yours? Did you just go directly into the return line or?
yeah. So basically, it went in the transmission fluid goes into the radiator, and then
Hmm.
when the line comes out of the radiator, I ran that into the cooler in the front, and then from the
Yeah.
cooler back into the transmission.
Oh, okay. Okay. And did you use like a Hayden cooler?
I don't remember which one it was, but it's the plate cooler or the stacked
Okay.
plates
Yeah.
versus the cheaper coolers that just have like the hose that just runs through the fins.
Yeah. That's what I used. It
Um,
was I put one on my Jeep because it needed it like real bad.
right. My 21 Forester has the regular cheap cooler in it, the one with just a hose that just runs through the fins.
Yeah.
Because the cooler that comes in the 21 Forester is just a bean can. It's just a little can that the coolant
Interesting.
runs into from the radiator, goes through that
Okay.
can, and then the transmission goes through that same can, and
Has almost no.
it would overheat all
Yeah.
the time.
It doesn't sound like there'd really
So,
be any radiation happening from that and no
well,
capacity.
I guess it's just liquid to liquid
Yeah.
transfer. It goes and it's on the back of the motor, so it's even staying hot back there.
Yeah.
So that's why I ran the cooler on the front of that. But I did that one before I did the '07 or the SG. And then after doing some research on coolers, I realized that the stack plate one is a lot more efficient than just a tube cooler. The
Okay.
tube cooler, they said, is more efficient as far as coolant goes through it easier because it's just that even flow of the tube.
That makes sense.
But it doesn't transfer as much heat out as the stack plate, where it has to go through every single one of those little bitty fins. It's not that big. I mean, it's big enough to fit in front of the regular radiator
Mhm.
on one side of the cross beam that runs down the center.
Yeah, that's actually on my list of things to do. I've only ever gotten a transmission light on that thing once. As soon as that
Right.
happened, I was like, man, I probably ought to think about doing this. But
Yeah.
I don't beat on it as hard anymore now that I've got something that's 4-wheel drive. But figure what the heck? It's got bigger
Right. Yeah.
tires
I mean,
anyways.
yeah, and they're not expensive to buy. So I mean, that's I think that one was like $50
Yeah,
for that cooler that I got. So it's then you got to get the hose, of course, but that's another $20 maybe.
yeah,
It's
maybe.
well worth the investment to get that transmission cooler on there if you're going off road.
When I've seen different people talk about the exponential increase in damage that takes place as the temperature gets past, the operating capacity of that fluid. And man, it breaks down real quick once you start to exceed that, and your transmission. It doesn't take a whole lot to nuke it,
No, no.
know.
Yeah, and especially with the CVTs, I'm really surprised
Oh
they haven't put better coolers on the CVTs because even the Wildernesses, my buddy's got a Wilderness, and his CVT cooler was like a little bitty, like
yes,
square, 1 inch by like 3 inches or 4 inches on the front of his transmission or on front
yeah,
of his radiator, And I was
Yeah.
like, what is that? I mean, that thing is teeny.
Yeah.
And his temperatures kept getting up there to like 250 and 260 a couple
Oof.
times when he was off road. And he's like, I got to do something. I'm like, get this cooler that I have and put a fan on it, with a
Hmm.
switch. And then when the temperature get up to like 220, you just kick that fan on and it'll
Yeah.
blow all that hot air right out of there.
Yeah. What's it's
He put it on there and he said it's been working
yeah.
fantastic. So
It's night and day. The difference is literally night and day.
yeah,
You know, because I hate to talk about Jeeps so much, but that's the car that needs the most love because it's a Jeep. They're junk.
right.
And the transmission that's in it is actually a Japanese transmission. It's an Ace and Warner, and they are notorious once you exceed like 31-inch tires. They're notorious for boiling transmission fluid, and actually they push it out. Like the ATF makes its way out of the transmission right onto the exhaust manifold. And
Hmm.
yeah, I put that transmission cooler on it with a fan, and on the highway, I used to literally boil fluid all the time, and even without flicking the fan on, not a single problem. Even just that extra capacity with a little bit of passive radiation literally changed the game. And now when I'm on the trails, boom, just flick it on and don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, stuff like
And
that. I love mods like that help the car keep up with the stupid stuff we're doing.
right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just don't realize, when they're putting bigger tires on their car or heavier tires on their car or roof tents or anything that makes their car
Oh,
heavier than it was from the factory, and you're trying to go off road and up these big hills and these big drops and stuff, and
yeah.
they don't realize that that's stress on that transmission, and they don't even think about putting, and they don't have a warning. I mean, a temperature gauge for the transmission. They got an oil temp gauge, a coolant temp gauge, but not a transmission temp gauge in these cars until it's too late.
Yes.
All of a sudden you're like,
Exactly.
the light pops on, and you're like, oh crap, I'm at 290 degrees. I already
we
fried it. Sorry.
Yeah, me and Brant were talking about that exact same thing. It's like there's there's literally no gauge for the coolant anymore. It's it's just your go visit the dealership and spend $15,000 light now. Like that's what it
Right.
is. Not, oh, I'm noticing an increase in temperature. Maybe I should stop now while I've still got a few degrees to spare before I kill something. And
Yep.
man, I think technology is cool. I think advancements are cool, but it almost seems counterintuitive in a lot of cases with some of the stuff they're trying to do. It's like you're making things worse by trying to give us all this weird technology and trying to make everything, fancy. It's like, man, just at this point, I want a carburetor.
Right. They're just trying to they're making everything, they're making the cars and everything smarter to make us dumber, basically. We don't have to learn
Exactly.
nothing
Yeah.
anymore because the car tells you everything except,
Yeah. Yeah. With
the,
OBD2 back in 96, it's like we started driving cars that had computers in them. Now we're driving computers that also happen to have some wheels on them, and
right.
you got to, have a master's degree to figure out how to diagnose half the stuff that's going on with them. And just, I don't know, it irritates the heck out of me. The newest car I
Oh, yeah.
own is my '06 SG. I just give me the old stuff, way less stuff to break, way more, longevity minded when it comes to the engineering. But dude, it kills me, man. Like, give me my temperature gauge.
Right. I mean, all cars should have a temperature gauge for the transmission, the coolant, the
Yeah.
oil. I mean, if you want to be really fancy, you can put a temperature gauge in the tires.
Yeah,
But
why
give us
not?
gauges that we can use that are beneficial, that actually help us keep the car up to date.
Yeah.
Maintenance wise. Don't
Yeah.
give us gauges that we have no idea what they're for.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I don't.
You gave us Starlink, but now we don't have a temperature gauge. Like, what
Right.
is this? Like, oh,
Right.
we have
And you
OnStar and
never use it.
Subarus. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a, dude, what a fiasco, man. I love Subaru, but it's I think 2014 was kind of, no, I'm going to say 2010 2009, man. That was kind of like the end of Subaru's heyday in my book, man. They really changed
Yeah.
kind of everything they were doing. But yeah, it is what it is. Are there any other mods like the transmission cooler that are maybe that kind of fly under the radar? Because nobody ever sees that, and it's not like a showy thing, but it makes a huge difference. Are there other things like that that you've done or that you think would be helpful for people?
Um, Maybe the breather valves on the transmission,
Yeah.
running the hoses from the
Yes.
breathers on the top of the transmission and the top of the rear diff.
Yep.
Up out of that water zone. So if you're going through a lot of water, throw about sucking water into the diff and the transmission breather
Yeah.
tubes.
No one talks about it. No one sees them if you've done them, or if you've done them right. Talking to Brant about that, and I was telling him, there's that spot in the front diff where you've got that dipstick. And this sounds really stupid, but I literally, anytime I'm going somewhere where I know I'm going to get into something silly, dude, I just put a condom over that thing with a rubber band and call it good.
Right.
Like, I know
Yeah.
it sounds
And
really
I was
stupid, but it works.
right. Well, and that dipstick is never that tight anyway. I
Never.
mean, that transmission dipstick is like just barely sitting in there with a little bitty O-ring.
Exactly. And the
The one day I
O-ring,
pulled it out. Yeah.
they're flat by the time they're 5 years old.
Right. Yep. I pulled it out and I was going to put an O-ring. I replaced the bottom one and I was going to put another one on the top just to see if I could put another one on there because I have like
Okay.
an O-ring kit. And I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I could put 2 O-rings in there. And I could never find one that fit perfect. But I was
Yeah.
thinking the same thing. I was like, man, if you ever got into deep water, I bet you it would go right in there. And
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense just to put a little condom or any, sort
Yeah.
of a little rubber boot over that.
A balloon is a more family friendly idea, but as wild as it sounds, like the condoms are actually made for, durability.
Durability. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you could buy a pack of the finger condoms,
Yeah.
those are a little smaller. They might fit on there a little better.
Yeah. Yeah. I just figured like, okay, they're made to expand like, they're supposed to be able to, put your whole arm in them if you had to, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
so far that hasn't let me down. I mean, I don't leave them on there long term because that stuff breaks down over time. But
Yeah.
it's definitely worked. But yeah, stupid little things like that, they don't get talked about. Nobody sees them. It's never the star of the show when somebody's talking about their mods. It's never, oh, I've got this brass fitting that I put on my rear diff and it keeps water out of it. Nobody sees that. It just dumps into the rear tire, spare tire well, and that's where it lives.
Yeah. And I don't know how much air would really go in and out of that breather tube. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
you
don't know
wouldn't
either.
think that fluid would, expand and to make that much air go in and out of there. But I mean, they put it on there for a reason. So it must
Yeah.
suck something in there.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, well, let's put a tube on it anyway, just to be safe.
Yeah.
Go from there. And I'll check it every now and then to see if there's any like condensation in the hose or anything because I used a clear hose and I never
Yeah.
see anything in it. So,
Okay. Now, how did you route yours? Did you route it up into the spare tire well, or?
I actually ran mine up along the side of the gas tube, where the
Okay.
gas tank is. It ran right up along the side of the gas tube. But
Okay.
in my 21 Forester, I ran it up into the spare tire well.
Okay. That's what I did. I just cut 2 little slits in one of those plugs, popped it in, and
Yeah.
worked just fine. Actually, I might have even taken a drill bit to it. I don't remember. But yeah, it's just one of those cheap, like $8 mods. I was like, I've already got the diff out. I'm doing the torque locker. Should be fine. Shouldn't be too bad at all. So far she's held up.
The only other thing I did inside of my car is I took the back seat out, not the
Okay.
not the part you sit on, but the back rest.
Yes.
I took it out and then made everything level, like took all the foam and everything out.
Yeah.
And just put a piece of thin plywood across all that with a carpet, so it gave me
Okay.
like 4 inches more space in the back of the car, and
Nice.
everything's level.
Okay.
Then put cargo nets in between where the seat back was going to be, so that way you could put like
Okay.
stuff in there, storage in there, in the molly panels on both those rear windows.
And what do you keep on the molly panels back there?
I got a snatch rope or
Okay.
a snatch rope, tree line, or,
Mm-hmm.
tree
Tree
strap.
saver.
Yep. One of the snatch block pulleys, and an axe, a machete, and
Okay.
the winch safety blanket.
I love having the Molly panels so that I have a spot for like stuff that I need right now.
Right.
Boom, right there. It's up out of the floor. It's up out of my bags. It's right there. Right, that's where my fire extinguisher lives. It's like boom, I can grab it if I got to put out a
Right.
fire or you know hit Bigfoot over the head with it. Whatever. Like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. My fire extinguishers are on both sides of where the back seat was. I
Mm,
basically bolted the fire extinguisher mounts to the wheel
okay.
well strut towers
Oh yeah,
on
some
both
self
sides. So
tappers.
when you yeah.
Perfect.
So when you open either door, the passenger or the driver's back door, you got a fire extinguisher on both sides.
Awesome. Okay.
And then I got another mola panel bolted to the door on the inside, right above the handle. So when you
Mm,
open the passenger back door, the first aid kit's right there. So as soon as you open the door, it's like the first aid bag is right there. And on the other
perfect.
side, it's another mola panel that has a flashlight, a knife,
Okay.
and a tourniquet.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's the important stuff that you need to grab in an emergencies are right there. As
Yeah.
soon as you open the doors, they're right there in your face.
Okay. Just like with anything, like what we were saying earlier, you can have all this stuff, but if you don't know how to use it and you don't know where it's at, why do
Yep.
you even have it? You know, like
Right.
if I
Yep.
need to stop the bleeding, I need to stop it right now, not in 10 minutes when I finally dig it out of this stupid bag covered up with extra
Yeah.
socks and a recovery rope.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because our first aid kits forever were like just under the front seat. And then
Hmm.
one day we're like trying to get to it and it's like, I can't get it out. It's stuck.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
well, if it was an emergency, you'd really be stuck because you'd be panicking trying to get it
Hmm.
out. So I decided
No
to
fine
move it.
motor skills.
Yep. Put it
Oh, man.
in like a medic bag. And that bag is,
Hmm.
like I said, hooked right to the side. So all you do is open the door and you just pull it and it just comes right off. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up
it
the
makes
first
it,
aid thing. That's because I don't even talk about that hardly at all. So
yeah.
it's
I say it's first aid
vital.
kit's probably the most important thing you can keep in your car,
Yeah,
just, and hopefully you never need it, but
yeah,
it's just like carrying a gun. I would rather
exactly.
have it and never need it than need it and
Yes,
not have it.
you're speaking my language, man.
Yep.
Okay,
So,
I could talk your ear off all night, but it's the last thing I'll bug you about. But recovery, what are you carrying for recovery equipment? I know you mentioned like tree saver, the winch blanket, all that type of stuff. So like, what are you carrying, and are there any technique tips specifically as it relates to recovering Subarus?
so my Subaru's got the hidden winch on the front that we put on
Mm,
there.
okay.
And it makes a big difference. But I tell all the people that if they're going, they don't really need to have a winch to go off road.
Hmm.
Recovery boards are definitely really important to have. I haven't needed them ever for myself. I've needed them for other people, but the recovery boards, snatch block, and even you can get those little portable come alongs are really nice to
Yeah,
have. Because
yeah,
I mean, most of the time when you're stuck, you're only stuck because
just,
you're in a hole.
just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. If you get um, that little hand winch, you can pull yourself out of that spot and before you can get traction again, and then you're good to go. And they're
Yeah,
only 50, 50, $60 for a little hand recovery winch like that. So yeah, I mean, those are basically the things that I always tell people to carry is just have those couple items. And even just having, if you don't have a winch, but even having a winch rope, you can make it into a winch. I seen a video on this the other day. A guy took a winch rope, hooked it around a tree, then hooked it to his rim. So when he gave it
oh,
gas, the rim basically spun, which pulled him forward just enough
what?
to get out of that hole to get back on the trail.
That is crazy. Some MacGyver stuff. Most people are gonna have no
Right,
idea what
exactly.
MacGyver is, but that's okay.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I was thinking about that. I was like, well, basically, it's a winch. I mean, if that tire's spinning and you hook a rope around it and then you go around the tread, it's going to pull you, or it's going to make the tire that's not spinning spin to get you out of that hole or
Yeah.
what you're stuck in. I was like,
Hmm.
well, that's always a good tip to have in the back of my head in
Yeah.
case, I'm ever out and somebody needs to get towed out and they don't have a winch with them.
You've got bumpers and that type of thing, but if you're trying to recover another Subaru, where are you usually trying to pull from on the Subaru?
Um, Normally, if I can, I like to get to the two bottom hooks. on the bottom of the car that are on the subframe.
Yeah.
If I can hook a rope to both of those and then hook something to the middle of that rope, like the
Like a
winch line to the
bridle.
middle of it to pull it out,
Yeah.
I think that definitely separates the weight on the both sides of the car, so it's not putting as much load on just that one eye hook that they give you on most of the cars. I don't know if I really trust that one screw and eye hook to
I
pull
don't
a car
trust.
out.
I don't trust him as
Oh,
far as I could throw you, man.
I would rather have two attachment points. I mean, if stuff is really bad and you really need to hook something really hard, you could always hook around the A arms or around the rims. I mean, to that fact, I've seen a bunch of people just tie a strap around the rim itself and pull it with the wheel.
Okay.
Because I mean, the wheel takes a lot of load all the time anyway. As long as you're
Yeah.
not snatching it. I mean, if you're just pulling it on a winch and he's like on a cliff or something, kind of off camber, you just wrap it around that wheel and just winch it up slow. It's not
Okay.
going to do any damage to it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the those eyelets. I've seen photos of them actually having been pulled and completely separated from that crash bar. Like it's just, it's a little threaded thing, and yeah, it looks beefy, but they're not.
The bolt itself is beefy, but you have to look at what it's screwed into.
Ex-
I mean, it's just
exactly.
screwed into a piece of tin.
Yeah, a glorified piece of Reynolds wrap.
You know,
Yeah, man. Oh, dude.
winching's different than snatching too, though. I mean, if you're hooking a rope, a big rubber band to a car, and you're hitting it at like 20 mile an hour
Oh,
trying to yank it, it's a different story.
yeah.
Winching, you're going real slow, and I would rather use the winch any day over trying to snatch somebody out of something.
Yeah.
But as a last resort, I guess you have to do what you have to do to get somebody out of a situation. But
Yeah. No, I actually fully agree with you, man. The shock load that gets delivered through, you know, dynamic recovery is just way different than a very controlled, slow pull from a winch. Totally different, much safer, especially on these cars because they're already pushing their luck.
yeah, and I think a lot of people just don't realize too when they buy these recovery ropes, like the kinetic ropes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They don't ever buy the kinetic rope that is for the weight of their car.
Yeah. They're made
They'll
for
buy these like
Rubicons.
I'm gonna get this 50,000 pound kinetic rope, and
It's
it's
never
not
going
gonna
to
do
stretch.
anything for your car. It's like, well, I'm gonna pull out
Yeah.
a big truck. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You have to have, you know, a recovery rope that's meant for the weight of your vehicle that's doing the recovery.
Exactly. I think UVT recovery products are perfect for our cars. Like, yeah, a lot of it might be a little under, but a lot of those Can-Ams, I mean, they're pretty beefy. Like some of the
Yeah, oh,
four-door
yeah,
Can-Ams,
yeah,
dude. That's kind of what a lot of us should be buying. And I
right, yeah.
didn't know any of this stuff when I first started. But what winch do you have on that car?
Mine's a 4,500 pound.
Okay, mine
It's
too.
a UTV winch. Yeah,
Same.
because I mean, if you think about it, the Forester itself is only, I think it's 3,700 pounds is what the weight on those are.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I know a lot of people are like, well, you need like 2.5 times the capacity of the winch to your vehicle. But if you use a snatch block and you deliver the
there
load,
it is.
50/50, you're pulling 8,000 pounds on a 3,000 pound car.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and you're
And they're
never
not
gonna.
nearly as big and heavy either. I don't like to put a lot of heavy stuff on my car. I don't want to put a 200-pound winch on the front of my Forester, and be driving down
Yeah.
the road all squatty on the front.
Well, and the other thing is, with 4x4s, you really are capable of getting them stuck in stuff
Right.
that would require an exponential amount of pulling force versus what the car weighs. But with a Subaru, oh man, I got stuck in a little ditch. I just need to get pulled out. And if it's real bad, I'll
Right.
put a snatch block on it. I'm running a Harbor Freight 4,500 pounds UTV winch. Like that's it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's done fine. I used it yesterday when I was out fishing. A guy got his Tacoma stuck in a mud hole out by where we were fishing. I was getting ready to leave, and he's like, "Well, I'll call somebody." I'm like, "I got a winch on the front of the Forest. I'll pull you out." And he's like, "You ain't gonna be able to pull me out with that." I'm like, "All right." Watch.
Watch me.
And it pulled him right out. I mean, he was only stuck in his axle. His rear axle was just touching a little bit, but
Yeah.
it pulled him right out. So he was
Yeah.
like, wow, I was really surprised that that thing did that. I'm like,
I
well,
told you.
Subarus will surprise you.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, and then your snorkel. You got a snorkel on that thing?
Yeah, it's a Pajaro snorkel.
However they just whatever
And
it's called.
it really, I mean, it fit like almost perfect. I mean, the airbox was just ahead of where the snorkel went through the fender by like
Okay.
3 inches. So I had to take some of that
Flexible.
black flexi
Yeah.
pipe that you get for like plumbing or whatever for like
Yeah.
mobile or campers.
Yeah.
And I just put that in there. I had to squish it so it was kind of like oval like that.
Okay.
So it fit in behind the fender well, but
hmm
and then I just folded it back to the stock airbox. It's nice and tight. That actually keeps the air temperature down in that box a lot too. Most of the time when the air temperature on the outside is or under the hood is a lot hotter than outside, of course. So
Yeah.
I think my air temperature stays like 10 degrees cooler with the
Okay.
snorkel than it would without it. I get people asking me that all the time. They're like, you got a snorkel? You go in water all the way up to your windshield where you need a snorkel? I'm like, no, not very often. Every now and then we'll go into like a creek crossing or a puddle where water will go over the hood. You know,
Yeah.
it'll splash over the hood where it would have probably got into the airbox. But
Yeah.
because that's the only downside. I mean, it's an upside and a downside to this factory airboxes and all the Subarus. At least they put them in the front behind
hmm
that where it goes over the radiator. So it is getting cold air
Yeah.
from the outside of the radiator, but it also gets anything that goes through the radiator. You know, a
Yeah.
gallon of water going through the radiator is going right into the airbox.
Yep. And everybody when they buy a Subaru, the first thing they think they got to do is drive 30 miles an hour through a mud puddle. And
Right.
it never it never ends good. Even if it's just, they get a little bit of water into the into the intake and foul up the mass airflow sensor. Well, now your car's gonna die, and now you're stuck in this stupid water.
Right.
And,
Yep.
and
I use the K&N air filter
oh yeah,
in my box because a paper filter, when it gets wet, it falls apart and it basically
okay,
turns into a big sponge. Where with the
yeah,
K&N filters, they're cloth with wire and oil, so water really has a harder time getting through it. And if it does get
okay,
wet, you just take it out and shake it out, and then it's dry.
yeah,
It doesn't. It probably doesn't. Brent says it doesn't clean the air as much as a paper filter would, which
okay,
I get. But if you keep it clean, the K&N filter clean and keep it oiled all the time, it should definitely catch quite a bit of the dust and the crap. But
yeah. I've run them before. I think I have one out in the garage right now, and I think I have one in my daily. I've heard people. Dude, everything when it comes to cars is so opinionated. It's like
right, it is.
one person will say this is the best thing you could ever do. Another person will say, well, this is a horrible idea, and here's why. just like with tires, one person will say best
Right,
tire ever is the BFG KO2. The other person will say worst loudest tire I've ever owned. If I could give 0 stars, I would.
right.
Always a hot topic. Well, dude, I've eaten up your whole night, man, and
No, that's all right. It's not like I have anything else going on, you know?
right. You got to work tomorrow?
No, no.